Hey, it is your buddy, peace and harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to sort of get a good handle on the psychopath. And, this is an experience that's the purpose of this channel is to help provide support and community resource to you and others who are sharing the same experience, which oftentimes is a very rare experience in life. Dr. Robert Hare, even though he talks about the vast implication, the number of people who are actually psychopathic are really thought to be closer to 1 to 4%. A large degree and a large amount of them end up in the criminal system, the penitentiary system, the juvenile penitentiary, juvenile criminal history as well, behavioral, obedience problems, defiance disorders, harming animals earlier in life, damaging property early in life, are all indicators. But understanding, how does this develop and how, what happens when you sort of experience this in your life, or you come across a relationship with what you're calling or feeling is a very difficult person. And if you were to line up all the individuals in your life right in a row, and if you were to just have a gut feeling, about what is causing the problem, where would your finger point? It's important to understand that your finger is pointing because you have an internal kinesthetic in a kinesthesia. I'm gonna say it, kinesthetically intact sort of guidance system about how to protect yourself and what is right or wrong. So your conscience is built in, just like you have, two arms. It's part of what makes you you, and you own, and makes you, have and be able to make value determinations, or moral determinations, and that you feel good about, and that are, ongoing for you in your life. I mean, it's just, you're not separated from this. But if you were to understand that a psychopath, they create a lot of this tension and disorder. I have called it in previous videos an engineered chaos. Engineered because it is very deliberate. I mean, it's a spoof. It's a a conundrum. It's an enigma. There is a puzzle aspect, very puzzling aspect to these individuals. Confusing. You might spend decades trying to create a puzzle that you don't even know that you're trying to create. You're trying to get the picture. Some piece is always missing, and you feel inadequate. You feel that you don't get it. It's not coming together. This is very, causing an immediate problem and disease and disorder in my life. It's like it becomes upfront. All of a sudden, you're faced with it, which means all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're right in the midst of it. The problem with a psychopathic individual, when a lot of people kind of awaken to this or get into a realization that this is into the teetering to the abnormal and ongoing and chronic and really disordered, that they wake up and they kind of realize that they're sort of in a web that they have spun. Much like a spider will catch a fly. Is the kind of life that is spun by a psychopath. It's very puzzling. Their web is puzzling. Oftentimes, it fascinates people. These people can be very fascinating, very charming. Tell great jokes, great stories, light up the room, light up the office. Be the one in control. Be the one at the helm. Really be the one with the power. Make their inroads by leaps and bounds that most people, it would take them years to get into a position at a company. All of a sudden, all the doors are flying wide open, and this guy has got, the penthouse office. It's like, or the gal has got the penthouse office. How did they end up here? This is just a conundrum. People have this sort of gasping experience, up front. This is an experience. And not, if you are, maybe you share this experience with others, maybe you don't share this experience with others, but it's to understand that when you come up against a psychopath, you are going to come up against something, oftentimes like Dr. Robert Hare calls a dark mystery. A dark meaning scary, fearful. I mean, you put your own words to it right there. Give me 1 through 20. What dark means to you. I mean, you know, you have to understand that this feels a specific way to you, so you have to get a handle on these feelings. And so if you really if you were to put a line up all the people in your life, the one that's giving you the problem, and if you could take a kind of like a radar, and it's like, it's right there. Like, I just, you're just between you, me, and God, or in the privacy of this video, or between you and God. What is the tension? What is making you uncomfortable? And if you were to write 1 through 20, and what are all the things that this person makes you feel? And you will surprise yourself. Just put 1 through 20. You might have contradictory, happy, scared. I mean, just write it all down. Get it out. You have to understand when you're coming to learn and grapple with the psychopath, you are going to have to get some things out. It becomes bottled up because there is no relationship with a narcissist. There is no relationship with a narcissist. These individuals do not have relationships. They might talk to people. They might have marriages. They might have positions where they earn money. I mean, they don't appear to be any different. And that's part of what is so confusing. And the fact of that this deficit within them, as Dr. Robert Hare discusses in his book Without Conscience, is to understand that these individuals are without a conscience. I mean, even though on the outside they look very healthy, normal, financially well-to-do, perhaps they're lazy, perhaps they're good musicians, perhaps they're just bouncing, have a very parasitic lifestyle, is basically the bottom line, is that these are individuals who design and arrange and deliberately calculate their life so that they can provide for themselves and keep, and it's just kind of like, just sort of, I don't want to say hoarding, but they just sort of take and just sort of, hoarding is not the word, I would say just sort of consume. They're very consumptive of others, others' space, others' qualities, others' qualities. They're very different, and so it's kind of like we were saying in an earlier video. Someone who's psychopathic, like Dr. Robert Hare says in a little bit of his introduction, that if you were to see someone who is schizophrenic, you'd easily be able to identify, whoa, that person has a mental problem. Maybe they're standing on the corner and they've got like 10, bedspreads on them, and then a hat, and then they're talking to themselves. That person, visibly is in a suffering area, and so you could visibly, say, and then you could have basically a consensus, in agreement with others. You could say this: they're not able to hold a job. They're they talk out loud all the time, and their words don't make any sense, and they have paranoia that is not real. So that groups into schizophrenia or something, and you could see it and know it and have a consensus. The problem with psychopathy is that you can't see it, even though the disorder is as severe or more severe than the schizophrenic on the corner. Even though they have a corner job with a corner office and a Lamborghini and a double and a triple life, and they do some things that are shocking to you, particularly the exploitation and corruption of others. Exploitation and what did I say? The exploitation and sort of corruption of others, meaning they are going to sort of the identity, the I am, that person, who they are. Oftentimes they are consumptive of others, their information, their contacts at work, who they know, phone numbers, contacts in an organization, or if they're in the business world, soaking up stuff like a sponge. they have, because they don't have a conscience, they have a high propensity to what we call high risk behaviors, which means they'll do things that normally other people wouldn't do. They're supposed to be in one part of the company. You find out they're talking to this other person in payroll all the time. Next thing you know, they have a relationship with the boss's daughter. Next thing you know, the boss's daughter has given all the passwords, and this guy has all the info to the business. Next thing you know, this person is learning this, that, and the other thing, and getting data. They sneak behind the system, behind your back. Without visibility. They are like a stealth bomber. They cover up their tracks. They conceal. They conceal their intentions. They conceal what they are doing. They conceal their ambition. They conceal their aim. What they're trying to do is get into a very specific what they want, and what they want is driven oftentimes by this high risk behavior and a certain degree of sort of testosterone, which is found to be even in the females, which gives them this sort of drive. And just, you talk about a psychopathic female, and they can be very extremely driven, promiscuous, high risk, just non-stop, making advancements in life very quickly anyway. But the problem is that there is something that they want that is what is required, though, for what they want is the exploitation of others, which means to exploit, which means to take advantage of without somebody's knowing. To take advantage of without somebody's knowing. So knowing that it's wrong because they see that others don't do it. So you have to understand that a psychopath in their early days, and so anyway, in their early days, like they're teenagers, they realize that they don't fit in the way that others do, particularly when it comes to relationships and emotions. They aren't having the same reactions, feelings. So, and they see couples holding hands, kissing. They say, oh gosh, I don't feel that. But they then observe, kind of like from a distance, and observe this weakness, this need. They observe that these other people have a need for meaning and nostalgia. Something precious to them, something that they've worked on, something that is their game, I would say their thunder, what makes them animated, what gives them life, which gives them joy, which gives them bubbly energy, which gives them happiness, which gives them a feel good moment, high on life, following and pursuing their goals, following your dream. These are all, okay, when you're following these psychopaths don't have dreams, okay? All these things, ambitions, these things are also interlocked with behavior and emotion for most people. So it's not interlocked with behavior and emotion for a psychopath. This has grave implications, deep and profound. Deep and profound. What Dr. Robert Hare most society would call as pejorative, meaning they make things worse. Make things worse. Okay, this is not, this is different. Okay, most people have not stumbled upon this experience in their life, or really, you got to get out the discovery shovel some of this darkness out. Get out your big brush that's, and dust this thing over and see what is going on in the sort of bionics of this metal, just sort of structure, with which is sort of kind of within this person there's a coldness. So to understand a psychopath is to understand that this individual does not have feelings. So feelings are equated with warmth. Things like generosity, like love, like compassion, like empathy, like being a bystander and wanting to do something to save humanity, make a difference, make an impact. Sort of, and then the reward of that's sort of, life calling, you might say, or you like fitness, and it's sort of a positive, ongoing, real important aspect for you to put your own tendrils and become educated and informed of the inner workings of what fitness means. And maybe you want to even teach that to others. But it's to understand that they don't have these feelings, and they're very cold. So cold meaning like ice water running through their veins is really what a psychopath kind of professes what to be a psychopath is like. And do I have people volunteering information who are psychopathic? The word is yes. Let's keep it there. Moving on, because this is just to be straightforward. There is a coldness, meaning if there's a lack of emotion, there is a coldness. So just if you were to put your hand on a cold metal hanger, a cold metal spoon, a cold metal garbage can, a cold metal what am I thinking of? When guardrail, it's cold, it's unfeeling, it's uncomfortable. Ooh, where's my mittens? A cold blast of wind. Ooh, that was cold. It does not feel good. The bite of the wind. Okay, so it's the understanding that these people have sort of a bite to them, a negative energetic bite. This might sound strange, crazy. Okay, great. If but unless you've encountered and experienced this, you're not in the in group. You're not in the posse here. You might not have experienced this. That's okay. Then you can go away. This is for people who have experienced and rubbed up against someone who is psychopathic, a 1%er of the population, Dr. Robert Hare. It's to understand that these visibly, once again, I just want to, visibly, there is not the illness. The illness is concealed from view. Much like a schizophrenic, it is obvious, but the severity and profundity is more severe than schizophrenia, okay? I mean, the impact is greater than, I would say, even alcoholism. It's very different. The impact is as severe, but the problem is, if you were to see an alcoholic, laying on the street with a bottle, that's an alcoholic. I mean, you can see it. The problem, once again, with someone is psychopathic is oftentimes it's very to the contrary. What is going on in the inside belays and contradicts what is going on in the inside, and this is meant to fool others. To fool others. The gravity and severity and profundity and degree to which this is so is oftentimes incomprehensible, meaning it's not able to be believed. It's not able to be grasped. It's not able to be structured. It's not able to be handled. So most people discount it, or they're mystified, and then the naive who are targeted are just naive. I mean, super green. We're not even going there for that. The topic is to understand that these individuals do not have the feeling. They are very cold. So whereas others have a different degree of warmth, a different degree of compassion, empathy, understanding. To some areas, warmth is valued. Some places it's not appropriate. You have to have a balance. That's the heart, the heart-mind balance, equilibrium, alignment. So, so getting ourselves there into that very cool, calm, collected, indifferent spot is an important place for you to carve out, kind of like an emotional yoga mat, if you will. You have to create an emotional yoga mat where you're doing your mental stretches. Whoa, this way, ooh, I get it, oh yeah, and then you can walk easier. This is kind of like mental yoga. I mean, literally you have to do and understand these, learn about them. That's one of the steps of healing, is to learn. It is to learn. It is to learn. I'll say it again, it is to be learned. Okay, I didn't know I was going to be stuck with this learning situation, peace and harmony. This is weird. I get it. You have found yourself up against it. That's why I talk about in the book that I'm working on, lessons learned should be a big chapter in your life. A valuable chapter. A chapter that might be worth, decades of your time and thousands of your dollars and myriads of smiles and opportunities for happiness. I mean, this is the gravity and the seriousness. You might hear me make jokes. You might hear me, but I make analogies so you can get a grasp. If you don't get a grasp, this can be very scary, okay? So it's to understand that they are almost like have you ever seen a wire sculpture? Maybe it's a metal, a wire. I think wire is better than metal for the analogy, but it's because wire, if you think kind of about the warmth of someone, maybe you think of a big heart, you think of, sort of energy coming from them that's safe, warm, inviting, nurturing, so, gentle, receptive, listening, creates that safety, creates that warm and cozy buffer. It's a great place to live, and a lot of people live in that warmth all the time. I mean, they make that who they are. And so, and that's where they find their peace and their authenticity. Interacting with a psychopath or a narcissist creates a sort of there's a persona there, so it creates the need to develop a persona to interact with their persona. That's very advanced. That's sort of a reaction where someone will take their energy and become a counter force to that person's energy. So it becomes a clashing, or you're then on the realm of the psychopath. You're engaging in psychopathic, word salad, and it's, or not. I mean, you're just becoming you're being preyed upon. These are intraspecies predators. Not only is their wiring different, but the coldness, the lack of feeling, creates a situation where these individuals become intraspecies predators. So if you think about the implications of what this means, it's to understand to what is a predator. A predator is like a bird of a prey or an animal of prey, very much like a lion in the savannah is a predator, and they prey on everybody in that area. So they're like, might call them the king of the jungle, the chain of command. I mean, in nature, you will see this. So we are part of that. So it's to understand you are not separate from, but the psychopath, part of their design is to alienate and separate you, others, from their group. Okay? I mean, that's what cults do. They separate them from their group, or the case of a cult is a society. I mean, they literally separate them from their society, from their family, from their school, from their life, from their reality. Complete separation. I mean, they're taken out. And being in a relationship with a psychopath is kind of a similar feeling, I would say, or experience that they give to others in their waking life. It's like a walking cult-like situation, which can become, there's an influence. The problematic that makes it this way is there's sort of an influence of this individual, which is deleterious or negative in its effect. And because of this lack of feeling, there is a coldness. And this creates sort of an emotional starvation, from others in an interaction, meaning there isn't an ability to interact. Not only do they lack a conscience, but they also lack empathy. So meaning they aren't able to process your feelings. Like if you were in a car without a heater or without an air conditioner, I mean, that's kind of what it's like. Like they're missing these elements in their vehicle, in their person. So you're not going to be able to turn on the heater, the love with these people. I mean, there ain't no switch to there is no love knob. There is no genuine knob. I mean, you're not going to get down to the root of things and get to be real with people, because they're going to result to some sort of double or triple life. They might allow you to feel this way if you need that, but that will become part of their ploy, part of their agenda. This is what they use people's needs against them. I don't speak these words lightly. I speak this as a word of warning and caution and education. Meaning, if they see someone who is lonely, oh wow, here they swoop in like the southern wind to take you on a migration in your life way off track into satisfying, your loneliness. And they will mimic the behaviors and fill in and spackle you in emotionally, like an emotional spackle, fill in all these little pockets and smooth it over. Woo! Like you just met the man of your dreams, riding in like a knight of shining armor, the woman of your dreams who's got a magic fairy wand, and next thing you know, you're on cloud 1059, and you're supposed to be sailing off into love oblivion. Like you're literally in the Kool-Aid. You're literally in the Kool-Aid. So people find themselves in the Kool-Aid. Where am I? You are in the Kool-Aid. You're in the psychopathic sort of energetic quantum field. I mean, it's their energy. You have to understand, if they're lacking emotions, there's something else going on, which is manipulation, which is deception, which is a deliberate and calculated design where they want things to go. So they direct the flow of life, energy, interactions. If it involves money, especially money, shelter, objects of purchase, they might be really into guitars, motorcycles. They might have kids, so they need to put up a decoy or a front. These people get married and have jobs. It's like a decoy. But they, can become very good workers or very good family people, but there is no emotional connection. They're they don't feel if their kids are sick, oh my gosh, or, and like, oh my God, their fever, and like you're holding them, they, they're not feeling anything. They don't have any conscience. They don't have any feeling, it's kind of scary. Not only is it, sad, but it's also very scary. So you have to understand the profound, specific, and exquisite pain that is inflicted by these individuals. Many people might not experience the psychopathic needle. It's very needle-like to some degree, and it's a mind control. It is a mind control. It is it's a mind control that you have to find, that you have to extract yourself from. So you have to understand that that's what's going on, and that you then need to step back and then regain your own mind control. So you need to sort of purge yourself and step away out of sort of that green fog or whatever it is that they sort of mystify people in. It's sort of like a magic, trick. But the problem is that a lot of people find them unassailable, meaning they're a great doctor, they're a great lawyer, they're a great husband, they're great, but that's the problem. When you see through the mask, that means you're about to expose them. And if that's an experience, you'll become very strong in order to process this. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony. I hope these videos do help. Please share, subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Peace be with you. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.